In this video, we're going to talk about productivity, real productivity, and I'm going to give you the only two things that actually make a person productive. All right. So I am a person who is obsessed with self-improvement. I've read over 700 self-improvement books. Not an exaggeration. It's how many books I've read. I've seen every idea under the sun and probably implemented it from cold showers to meditation. And I'm here to tell you what actually works. And that's what this video is about. The idea for this was sparked, and I want to share just like a couple Twitter threads. You probably see these everywhere, right? These are just people that write things like, okay, this is like my morning routine. I walk 20,000 steps a day. I have like a morning electrolyte supplement. I cook all my own meals. I meditate. I go to bed every day. You'll probably see the same kind of self-help improvement type of stuff all of the time from people. And, here's like another one: take long walks, block the internet, capture ideas everywhere. So how many of you have seen this kind of rhetoric come out of people, and you might be trying to implement these kind of things in your life to be a more effective person? And I had a period of time where I was implementing a ton of stuff. I would get up every morning at 6 a.m. I would go to hot yoga. I would meditate afterwards. I would write in my journal. And guess what? I didn't start working until 11 a.m. Right? So the problem with this modality of thinking and this idea of trying to get you into these routines is that the people that are writing this stuff, the people that are building these self-improvement routines, this dude's job, for example, is telling you about self-improvement stuff. His job is teaching people this stuff and then putting you into a funnel and selling you a course or something. So he's going to walk 20,000 steps a day because all he has to think about is how to get you to buy his thing on Twitter. But you walking 20 steps a day is 20 steps further away from your goal of actually working on whatever fucking thing you need to do. So I'm going to introduce a new modality today that is called the anti-routine. And I say new. There's some people that have actually caught on to this, but I think that I love the word anti-routine. And so previously, like, this is like the previous concept, right? Is that like humans are routine-based creatures, get into an effective, healthy routine to work more, okay? That's like the sort of basis, the theory of this concept that we had before. And I'm going to introduce a new concept, which is you should eliminate all distractions, and your goal should be to work as fast as possible. And I'm going to define work, right? Because I think the idea and what people get so caught up in is this idea that if you build out all these other systems around your work, you will work more effectively when you do work. But what I have found is that is actually not the problem that the vast majority of people have. The vast majority of people don't have the problem of like having routines or not meditating enough or whatever. The vast majority of people just don't work no matter what. That's like actually the truth. And I've had a lot of discussions about this, and I now realize that people are perhaps the most delusional about how they actually work and what effective work is. So when I say work, what I really mean is you are doing an activity that directly supports your goal, aka more money, more growth, more followers, maybe if you're doing content, better product, right, or something like that, right? So if you're actually working, you're working on something that is forwarding a goal that you have set before, and you're working on something that is as effective as possible towards that. So I want to change this modality that there's actually what I'm about to say is really important, maybe like kind of the most important part of this video. I used to think that if you meditate for 30 minutes a day, you'll work more effectively as a result. But what you're actually doing is you're attaching the 30 minutes a day meditation to your ability to work. So what's happening is you're supplementing and you're using all of these routines to actually handicap yourself to now being attached to having that routine in order for you to be able to do this thing. It's actually a victimization. So why do you need all this stuff, right? Do you need to wake up in the morning and do this huge morning routine so that you can work? No, like what you should do is you should go to your computer as fast as possible and then start working on the thing that matters. And if you put yourself in that mindset, what happens is you start to work on things that matter without the need for any of these other things. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not like a healthy person, or I'm not encouraging you to be a healthy person. I work out every day, I do all that stuff, but I do that because I want to feel better within myself. I don't do it anymore because I think I'm going to work more effectively. For me to work more effectively, what I've been doing is I've been eliminating as many distractions as possible. I've been shutting off Discord. I've been starting to not be on social media as much. And I promised you that in this video that I'm going to give you two things that I think are the actual ways that you get productive. So if you're going to spend your time doing anything, I'm going to give you two things that you can do to really. First, one is going to be around identifying how to actually do the right kind of work, and one is going to be around building out new ideas. So I don't want any walks. I don't want any meditations. I don't want any fruit juice cleanses. These are the two things that I would actually focus on. The first is creative brainstorming. And creative brainstorming, this is like an actual useful tweet where spending 30 minutes a day brainstorming ideas will dramatically improve your content. Most don't spend anywhere near that. I love this, and I started doing this. This is actual real work that supplements work, right? And it doesn't have to be for content businesses. It could be ways to improve your product. It could be ways to get more customers. So when I say creative brainstorming, it always starts the same way. I'm going to shut down as many distractions as I can. I'm going to sit, usually play some pretty chill music, and I will start brainstorming based on what I'll usually do is I'll start with words. So I'll say something like advertisement, advertising, advertising agency, and then I might go like agency. Okay, so like ads for agency, ads for brands, right? And then I'll keep going until like I get something like specific. Like I might come from this like now like what I'm thinking is like I need to create a ad for a brand to easily understand what I do, right? And then like see like and I got that from just like typing these words, and I just typed like a random word, and then I thought that this actually might be a good idea for content or something like that. I might start with something like Twitch creators. I'm just like thinking like word associations, right? Twitch creator problems, that's interesting, right? Twitch creator problems right now, ads are bad. Also, people are upset at the website, right? And then like lots of creators are not growing, right? And so you'll see that like I might come up with like 100 ideas here in this session, and I'll just keep going. And eventually one of them will be a banger idea for a video or a great idea for a product or something like that. So I think that creative brainstorming basically involves a sort of 15, I think like 30 minutes a day is a lot of time. I think that like a 15 to 20 minute session, which is generally what I spend, is fine. And I will usually do things like I'll show you a couple of where's my just one sec here. I'll show you some notes that I take on this. So it's things like here, this is something I'm going to show you in a minute. So it might be like I'll take like a content scripting thing where I might do something like this. So here I started with the word esports, and I'll just like paste my creative brain session from yesterday. So I just started with the word esports. I went to esports salaries are too high because that's just what I thought about. Esports viewership, business news, build a business, how to build your first business. See, like I'm just like creating ideas based on this. So I think this is a really effective way to actually work, like to figure out what you're going to want to work on. And then the second thing I want to show you was actually what I just pulled up, which is called 80-20 analysis. And 80-20 analysis is how to figure out what to actually work on. I've done entire videos on this that you can go look at, but I'll give you the sort of overview here. The idea of 80-20 analysis is you're basically going to list the answers to these questions. Because a lot of people say, okay, well, it's great. I want to be able to work, and I want to be able to work on effective things. But how do I work on things? How do I even know what to work on? This is the answer to that. Okay. So, what are 20% of the activities of people that are producing 80% of my want? So first of all, this part of it is like looking at your current life and how you're taking your time. And for context, I run one of these like every 3 to 4 weeks. I'll run like these questions and see how they're changing. What do I need to do to increase the value of what I'm doing 10x? What's had the greatest positive emotional negative impact in my life? And then the expanded questions are ones I've added over time. What am I trying to be world class at is a super important question for figuring out what to work on. So I actually want to do a video probably just on this question on its own, because you can only be world class at like one, maybe two things in your life. And as long as you kind of keep the focus of what you're going to be world class at, then you will not work on everything that's not related to that. This is another really power question for that, is if I could only work 2 hours a day next week, what should be my focus? So you run yourself through all of these questions. What are 4/5 of the time consuming activities I would remove if I was forced to? And what you do is you put together a to-do list and a not to-do list. And now all of a sudden you know what to work on. Okay. So from there, you should really, like, this probably takes me, I'd say 30 minutes to an hour a month. Like I said, I do it over 3 or 4 weeks. And this creative brainstorming session takes me about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. So total amount of time invested, and this, like, I get like actual ideas and of things to do, and then this I get like a to-do list of things to do, like in a macro sense of how to improve my business or how to improve my content or whatever I'm trying to do. So total investment of time is probably like maybe 15 to 20 minutes a day, and then add an hour to that in terms of like once a month. That's about all I need to like really plan out what I need to work on. And the more that I do this, and the more that you do this, the more that you are going to get better at it, and the more that you're going to like be able to automatically kind of cut things in your life, because you're going to say, okay, this doesn't serve me. I already know this. I've done this a bunch of times. Most people are not working effectively. Most people are not working at all, actually. And the people that are working at all are usually not working effectively on something that's actually moving a goal forward. And you have to sort of like look back and analyze that. A big reason for this is fear. A huge reason for this is just like your fear of moving something forward because you don't know if you're going to succeed or if it's going to win out, or if it's going to like be a thing, like you're going to fail. Like fear of failure, everybody talks about fear of failure, but I don't think anybody like understands what it is. Fear of failure actually manifests itself as procrastination. So when you're not doing something, it's because you actually fear failure. You fear that that like fear of success is a version of fear of failure, where it's like, what do I even do if this thing works and I have so many obligations that I have to pay attention to it? That's another fear of like fear right there, right? So usually when people don't work, they go check Reddit, they go check like social media, they go check Twitter. They're doing they're procrastinating because there's some interlaid fear, there's some inner fear about like what to actually do, which is why you have to use these processes to distill this stuff down. So now the second part and the theme of this video is that if you are using all these morning routines and all these routines that people are telling you to doing these 20,000 steps a day things, like this is literally another method of procrastinating that's just exactly the same as going on Reddit or Twitter or whatever. It's just seen as more healthy, and it is more healthy, right? But like nobody that is actually in the business of building like a serious multi-million-dollar company is walking 20,000 steps a day, is cooking all their own meals, is like supplementing, like meditating. It's not happening. The people that are actually making that stuff happen, if you want to operate at that level, they're doing things. They're actually working on stuff, and they're working on stuff really effectively. If you look at like most of the super successful people, they're just at work, they're just grinding. And like self-improvement people like to use like examples like Jack Dorsey or whatever, who's like already like running a company and has delegated at a very high level. He's like structured his life in that way so that he can like spend time doing stuff that he wants to do, which is fine. But like for the vast majority of the time that he was building those companies, he was working like 24/7. So when you wake up in the morning, you don't need to meditate. You don't need to, eat a specific type of seed from the Himalayan mountains to like reach enlightenment. You actually just need to like sit down on your computer, and you should know exactly what you're doing. So you should have a calendar, like a calendar notification at and I have this at every day at 5:30, which is kind of around the time I'm sort of winding down, and I do what's called a next day plan. And the next day plan kind of involves like taking these notes and saying, okay, this is what I should actually work on immediately when I get into the office and when I'm like thinking like what's going to move me forward the most. And then from as soon as I get into the office, the first hour is dedicated towards that task. And then the rest of it is just working on the things that I actually need to work on. But when I wake up in the morning, I choose the same clothes. I don't eat. I intermittent fast all the way to dinner so that I can get to work and I can start working in the fastest way possible. Um, and then again, like my personal health isn't compromised by um by anything. I'm healthier than I've been in years, I think, because I I instead of using those workouts as a crutch to try to be more effective, I now implement those things into my life because I genuinely want to be a healthier person, but they aren't related to work. I'm not pretending anymore. And I did this for years. I probably even talked about it in videos about like as a thing to do or how to have effective morning routines. I'm not pretending that those things are making me a more effective working person. And I really want you to think about that if you're in this camp, which a lot of you probably are because I do a lot of self-improvement stuff, so people are probably listening for that kind of thing. I used to identify myself as a more effective CEO because I go to yoga or I strength train or something. But that's bullshit. You're a more effective CEO or you're a more effective entrepreneur if you're actually working on the thing that moves it forward. That's all you should think about is doing the activities that directly support your goals. If you want to make more money, do the activities that actually directly support your income. Don't go do all the other stuff. Meditation doesn't make you more money. I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't make you more effective. There's plenty of health benefits that I do it every day, but it's not going to make you a more effective executive. It's not going to build your business. If you don't believe me, just go sit and meditate for 18 hours a day and see if you're a millionaire. Like, it's not going to work, right? There's plenty of fucking Buddhists doing that in Tibet that don't have a single dime. Okay, they're not manifesting that, and they don't have any followers on Twitter or anything either, right? Like, if you want to do the thing, you have to distill it. You have to do the most close version of that thing that you can. You can't like do this other stuff. So I want if you were like me and you were kind of attaching your identity of like, okay, if I meditate more, if I strength train more, and if I do this exercise, if I write in a journal or whatever, I'm a more effective worker. That's a crutch, and it was a crutch for me. And now I'm an effective worker and I do all those things, right? But I do those things on my own time. I do that separately. I don't do them when I should be working. I do them after a long day of work. I do them on weekends. I do it whenever. And as a result, I'm a healthy person, but I'm an effective person because I've tried to cut out and remove as many things as possible from me actually getting the work done. And the only time that I spend kind of on the business is figuring out what those things should be doing through these two techniques. So I hope that you think about this a lot and just think about your relationship to self-improvement and realize that like the vast majority of these people that are telling you to do these huge walks and long meditations and morning routines, they need content, right? They need content because it's their job to tell you, to teach you something about how to be more effective or how to. This one I never want to get in the trap of like being a pure motivational speaker, right? Is like I want to have a business, I want to have something I do because I would be seeking to give you more advice about how to be more effective, and I keep looking for random things like this ashwagandha herb that you take that makes you 50. I'd have to find something. I have to have something to talk about because I need you to buy my course, right? So keep in mind, like when you get advice from some of these figures on like some of these personalities, their job is literally to sell you something and to keep you in this loop so that you keep learning how to self-improve yourself. And what I'm telling you is like you don't need any of that. Like you want to disassociate, so like drop your identity with like, oh, I need this thing to be effective. Dude, you can eat pizza all day and chill and just work. And there's plenty of people that do that like into their 50s and they're fine, right? Like you don't, like the less you identify with, the less that you attach with all of these ideas, the better. And also you'll be a more effective person at the things that you like, the health related things that you actually want to do. So like if you want to work out, don't attach yourself to that to be a more effective worker. Work out because you genuinely want to feel healthy in your body and you want to feel good about yourself every day, and then you'll have the motivation to do it. If you're just working out to be or like journaling to be a more effective CEO or being more effective at your work, those two things aren't linked, and you won't actually see the results of being more effective at either of them as a result. And so you won't feel better, right? Because like again, you can't meditate all day and then expect to be a super successful multimillionaire or whatever. So if you want to meditate because you like the sense of calm it brings you, you like the discipline, you like the training, you agree with Buddhist philosophy, whatever the fuck, right? Like go for that reason. Don't do it because you are meditating to be a more effective worker. You won't see the results. It won't, because it doesn't make any sense. It's like if you're pouring water on concrete expecting plants to grow and you're like, why isn't it happening? Like your mind will be frustrated with that result because it's not happening, right? So like what I'm saying is like distill those two things into their two separate ideas and do the benefit of the thing because of what it actually provides, and then put your work separate and detach from all these ideas of these things you have to do to be an effective person. You are already an effective person. You're just procrastinating from being that because you're scared of what might happen if you actually succeed. So look at that problem, right? Instead of like doing all these things and distractions to try to get you to where you need to go. So that's the productivity stuff. That's all I have to say about that. Thanks. Bye.